I ruined my ex's restaurant with a single review, and a year later, I got hired by his sister. I didn't mean to destroy him. I swear I just wanted to be heard, because when someone breaks you quietly, sometimes the only way to breathe again is to make noise, and I made the loudest noise of my life. It started with a Yelp review, one star titled, "The Chef Who Broke My Heart." I wrote it one night, with shaking hands and red wine still in my veins and rage thick in my throat. I said the food was cold, the service was cruel, the chef was a liar who served promises disguised as entrees, and love that burned on the plate before you could taste it. And people loved it, they shared it. They called me brave. They said I was a poet, but really I was just a girl bleeding in public and calling it honesty. His restaurant closed 3 months later. I didn't even know until it hit the news, and when I read the comments, calling him a fraud, calling him the heartbreak chef, I felt this tiny flicker of justice, and then immediately after came the shame, because I realized justice shouldn't taste like someone else's ruin. A year passed, and I tried to start over. I moved to Charleston and got a job at this new place called the Ember House. The owner was this warm, sharp-eyed woman named Harper, who believed in second chances and small details. She hired me on the spot, said she liked my writing. When she saw my old food blog, I didn't tell her about the review. I didn't tell her that her last name, Mason, was the same one I'd cursed online for months. It was fine. We built something real. The restaurant started to bloom, the kind of magic you feel in the air when people love what they're making. But then one night, this food critic came in, mentioned the Mason table, and I swear my blood turned to glass. Harper smiled, but her hands were shaking. And later that night, she looked at me and said, "Funny how one sentence online can change a life." Huh? And I knew she knew. The next day, she asked me directly if I'd ever written about her brother's place. I lied because lying felt easier than losing everything. But the truth always leaks out. It found me again through a blog post that connected my old review to my real name within hours. Everyone knew the staff, the customers, the city. The headline read, "Viral reviewer who destroyed the Mason table now works for his sister." And I wanted to disappear, but Harper didn't fire me. She called a meeting. Told everyone I'd made a mistake, but I'd owned it. That I wasn't that person anymore. She said she believed in redemption. Even when it was messy, I cried after everyone left because I didn't deserve that kind of mercy, but I stayed, and the next week, Harper told me her brother wanted to meet. I said no. She said, he deserves to see who you've become. So I met him at a cafe near the water, and when I saw him again, it was like time folded in on itself. I said, I was sorry for everything, and he just stared for a long time before saying, "You ruined me, Leah. You know that, right?" And I nodded because I did. But then he said, "I don't hate you anymore." And it was the softest thing I'd ever heard. It felt like forgiveness. Even if it wasn't months later, I wrote one last review. Not to hurt, but to heal. I called it the review that healed me. I didn't name anyone, I just wrote about how food is forgiveness and how the difference between cruelty and truth is intention. Harper found it online the next morning. Smiling through tears, she said, "You did it again, except this time you saved something instead of breaking it." And maybe that's what growing up is, realizing that words can burn or they can feed. And the person you become depends on which one you choose to do next, because I learned the hard way that the internet never forgets, but it can forgive if you let it.